Okay. All right, hi, everybody. We are just waiting for one more member of the commission, and I actually saw that member online, and so I think she'll just be popping back on in a second. So just give us a minute until we get started.
So we can have a forum?
Yeah, we should.
You don't have to-
Yeah, it doesn't have to be in person. I think we'll have 2 and 2.
Definitely you're not speaker view, correct?
Brian, can you just make the chat smaller? Just because then I can see if Virginia's on. Okay, yeah, actually, it looks like,
Virginia.
yeah. Yeah, we'll make her.
There we go. You got everybody.
Okay, so we're gonna start the meeting?
Let's start, yeah.
Game on.
So you're gonna start, you're the chair?
I'm the chair.
Oh, you're the chair,
Yeah.
okay, sorry.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, let me just get you on camera.
Do you think, while speaking, I guess I can, I'll do the mask thing. All right, thank you. All right, we're good to go?
Yep.
All right, so it looks like we have a quorum, so we can call today's meeting of the Hamilton Conservation Commission to order on July 28th, 2021. It's 7:10 PM. First, I'll do just a roll call of attendance. So George Tarr is
Here?
present.
You need it here?
Yeah.
From home. Okay.
Virginia Cookson,
Yeah,
Chris Courier,
Here via Zoom.
thank you, and Lauren Lynch here. So we do have 4 people. So the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the last meeting on July 14th, 2021. Can I get a motion from someone on the commission to approve those minutes?
This is for the minutes. Nobody has,
Last week, I looked at them, they looked good.
do we need to ask for comments or?
Yeah, did anybody have any comments or questions, or are you okay to approve them?
the
I
21st,
didn't-
I did review and I think I sent back my opinion or any corrections to Brian.
This is for the minutes from the last meeting on July 14th. So I know, Virginia, I know you weren't at that meeting,
Yeah, you're right.
so I suppose this really just goes to Chris and to George.
Last meeting, you couldn't have me.
She can still
You
vote
couldn't have had
to
minutes
accept
because
it.
you didn't have a
She wasn't
quorum.
here, right?
Yeah, I think she can. Yeah, because Virginia, we did have a quorum at the last meeting.
Yeah, right. I move we accept the minutes for July 14th.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chris. All right, I'll get a vote from everyone. George,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Virginia,
I don't know what to say. I thought I tried to join the meeting and couldn't, so I can't vote.
okay, so you abstain. And I will vote aye. So we have,
Now the continuances
yeah,
to the 8th.
okay. All right, so now moving on, the first items on the agenda here, the abbreviated notice of resource area delineation for 133 Essex Street. The applicant has requested a continuance until our meeting on September 8th. Similarly, for the RDAs, the 3 RDAs for 133 Essex Street, they have asked for a continuance. So can I get a motion to continue that discussion?
I think I did this last time. Yeah, I move we continue the 4 133 Essex items till September 8th.
Okay. Can we get a
Second.
second?
Oop, sorry, second.
Thanks, Chris. All right. Virginia, how do you vote on that continuance?
I agree.
Okay, George,
Aye.
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
all right, and Lauren, I vote aye. So we will continue all of the items for 133 Essex to the meeting on the 8th of September. So the next item on our agenda is a request for determination of applicability at 35 Miles River Road and Rosen to install a fence around an existing pond and replace existing grass with native plantings. So do we have a representative from the applicant on Zoom?
Yeah, hi, I'm Julian. I'm Annie's husband.
Okay. Hi, Julian. Do you want to walk us through the RDA?
Sure. So we're actually closing on the house tomorrow, and we just want to make the pond safe for our 3-year-old. And basically, what we're trying to do is to find a solution that will preserve the wetland and also preserve the safety of our kid. The proposal is basically to build a fence around the pond, which is 25 feet away from the pond edge, all around the pond. And ideally, if we could make that a little smaller, that would be great, because the cost is quite expensive, but I mean, that's a discussion I'm happy to have if that's possible. We propose to have this fence high enough to allow clearance for turtle, frogs, and basically small animals to go under, and to plant a set of native plants around to basically help the local plants to grow there. We spent some time with Brian to go through the proposal, and I think he has a good understanding of what we're proposing.
All right. Thanks, Julian. I'm just gonna, actually, could we get the audio turned up a little bit? It's a little bit hard to hear, but I was able to hear that. And I just want to pop onto the screen for the commission members, the diagram that you shared. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a few views of the pond itself.
All right. So is this is helpful. This looks like this is where the pond is, and I see the 25-foot indicator, and then the kind of dotted line suggests where the actual fence would be.
Yeah, and then if you want to get in there to the pictures, what you can see that it's just grass, just turf grass around the edge of the pond, and what they'd like to do, as you just said. So that's the furthest edge away when there's a bit of a cart road through the vegetation. And so rather than cutting down any vegetation, they just want to run the fence through that cart road and then run it as close to the water as they can and replace some of that turf with native vegetation. The fence they're going to raise up off the ground to allow passage for small creatures to use the pond unimpeded. And so the grass will help to cover, or sorry, the native plantings they're proposing will help to cover up that gap for their child, to keep the child out of the pond.
Yeah. It'll
make it a more environmentally friendly area for the creatures, for the critters, whatever scientific term you want to use.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't think there's any reason not to allow them to move closer to the waterway. Especially if they're putting in native plantings. It's a net win, no matter how you slice it.
Do we know what lives in the pond?
Probably fish and turtles. No, I don't know. It's a dark pond. We didn't get to see anything when we did the site walk. But on this image, you can see the 3/4 of the pond. The fence would run around, and then that darker section is where it gets a little more vegetated, and they would wrap the fence down that cart road that you started with.
Okay, and the native plantings that would be put in would extend to the fence point, like so 25 feet around the pond is the...
We didn't discuss the details of the extent of the planting, like how wide around the fence. But Julian, please step in here at some point if you have some width in mind.
The idea would be to have the planting around the perimeter of the fence.
Okay.
On the outside rather than on the inside.
Outside of the perimeter.
Right. And then the inside of the fence would just be left to go native. It would just be left behind.
Gotcha, okay. I'll open it up to members of the commission to ask any questions.
This is Virginia, may I
Yes,
ask a few?
please. Go ahead, Virginia.
Okay, there's some property, from what I remember, the water area, was indeed small at one point. It had a split rail and post fence all the way around it. And it was placed back maybe 10 feet from the edge because we didn't have that 25-foot no disturb at the time. And it was also left to be native from the fence in, with a possibility of a small bench to sit at to read and in quiet. The reason this commission at the time was interested in trying to keep the pond as is at the time was that year after year there had been a pair of wood ducks that would nest in one of those trees. Don't think they're there anymore. So my question is, do you know what happened to the fence? And when they started grassing things all the way down to the edge of the pond, so massively different.
Those are good questions. That's helpful context. I mean, Julian, I guess you're about to close on it tomorrow, you said, so do you have
Yeah,
any insight into that?
I don't have the story. I mean, yeah, I just know that that's how it is today.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know is the answer.
okay.
I have one.
I mean, just to be clear, I mean, my wife and I really love the nature, and if there's something we can do to, do the right thing, we will definitely consider it and do what we can.
Okay, it wasn't really a criticism of you, it was just to let you know what had originally, and that would be with the original owner, so I doubt that would be you, or even the guy before you. Well, they had 3 or 4 owners.
Yeah.
One other item, and perhaps you're letting it happen, and of course, these were just voluntary, they weren't in the deed, but we asked if they would let the, like the back half of the property, which is like a meadow, or a beautiful, open grassy area, if they would just let it grow without mowing it until the end of the season or something like that, so that some of the nesting birds who need to nest in a meadow or in tall grass would have a chance to nest there, and they had agreed. So I was wondering, do you leave it go now still?
Virginia, I can contribute to that point. Not in the pictures, but off to the further, I believe it's to the east of the property. There is a wetland, and it is signed and demarcated. So there's posts with signs on it that says, thou shalt not go beyond this for mowing and that kind of thing. So there is some remnant of that memory that you can still find on site.
It's just, it was because their land went back so far, it was still open, and they weren't intending to use the back part, okay? And it was nice, open and grassy, so they agreed at the time. And I noticed now it's still nice and open, so I was just wondering whether they would just continue with it, that's all.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, and we definitely intend to respect that.
Most likely didn't know about it.
No, I didn't understand what you were referring to.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like I appreciate the kind of attention to adding some native plantings here to really respect what we have and to encourage more of a healthy environment around this pond. So I think I don't have any other questions at this time about the plans here. George, Chris, do you have any other questions?
I'm just wondering what allowing it to go native actually means. Are native species going to be brought in there? Are non-native species going to be removed? I mean, is this an ongoing effort, or you're just going to leave it alone and mow it late in the year once.
Yeah, yeah, Julie, my impression was you were going to be bringing in some native species to replace the current grass that is there. Is that correct?
Yes, we are going to bring all the species that are listed at the end of the document.
Okay.
My father-in-law is a conservationist. He has a PhD in agriculture, and he's basically worked with us to build that list and make sure that makes sense
Okay.
for this environment.
That's great. Okay, yes, you have someone with localized knowledge of what native plantings would be appropriate here. Yeah, this list is useful. I don't know if everyone, Chris and Virginia, you can see the plants that they have proposed to bring in.
That's a long list.
It is, yeah.
They took these lists from the Native Plant Trust and some of their proposed listings for wet areas. And as Julian was saying, the story I got about his father-in-law is the man has quite the enthusiasm. It's an artist's palette as far as he's concerned when he gets the grass out. So I don't think there's going to be a problem with numbers of native plants.
He's
They're gonna have to reel them
actually
in.
really excited about it, and we're actually also excited because we think it will be really nice.
I thought the owner would be real excited. You could sit there and watch all that stuff happen. That's going to be great for you.
I know it, yeah. Yeah, that'll be beautiful.
One other little comment, and it's a positive one, don't worry. The description of your proposed fencing and the allowance of the space underneath for small critters, as we say, I think is an excellent idea.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that any I mean, it looks like any turtles are.
There's about a 4-inch clearance built
Okay,
in.
yeah. Okay. All right, does anyone want to make a motion to approve this, or to determine that this is not applicable?
So what are we talking about here?
I think
Well, The detail that you do need to decide is they've proposed 25 feet.
yeah,
I should be talking to the mic.
yeah, 25.
Yeah, they've proposed 25 feet, and they'd like to go closer, so maybe like 10 feet out, 15 feet out. It's sort of, that's your discretion, you know, how big a ring around the pond are they
Okay.
fencing in?
Virginia, you had said that the prior fence that you knew was there was about 10 feet out. Is that correct?
So it was simply a post with two rungs in between, so it was pretty open.
Okay.
But they have children to worry about.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, this is a bit less open, so it seems like perhaps a bit more space around the pond would be appropriate. Does anyone have a number they would feel comfortable with, like 15 feet, 20 feet?
They
You
want
mean
10.
from the edge of the wet?
From the edge of the water, yeah.
Well, since we have a 25-foot no disturb, and they appear to have sufficient land so they won't be crowded by it, I would suggest we make it 25 feet.
Julian, do you have, I know, like, are you okay with that, or you wanted to go closer into the pond?
Well, ideally, if we could have gone to 15, it would have been great. I mean, as you know, the cost of fencing is
Yeah.
quite expensive, and also the material are actually hard to get by. So we're trying to factor that in.
You know, if the commission wants it closer, I certainly could look at that because, considering it, because right now you're looking at a monolithic grass, and they're gonna be letting it,
Yeah,
well, anti-natives, I should say, to replace it. So if you bring it into 15 feet, and then from 15 feet in, it ends up being a variety of native plants, that is definitely an improvement
Yeah.
for the environment. And because up to now, it's had nothing to protect it. So it's an improvement, and I think we could agree we could agree that that would be acceptable.
okay, yeah, I would agree with that. I think even if it is kind of bringing it in within that 25-foot buffer, but the work that's being done to bring in native plants is improving the conditions that are currently there, I would be okay with that.
I'd like to make sure that, again, I'm one of those people, I want it in writing in whatever form it's supposed to go in, so that it explains why we're allowing it to be closer than 25 feet.
Yeah.
And the fact about the improvement.
Okay, we can, yeah, Brian, we can put that in writing. Okay, Chris, George, do you have any comments or concerns?
No,
Okay.
basically, we're talking about moving that fence in.
Yeah.
So this is a modification of the order of conditions?
This is a DOA. There's no order of conditions on this one. This was
Oh,
an
there
RDA.
isn't one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the original 25-foot,
Yeah, we're just waiving the usual standards because it's going to be an improvement regardless.
okay.
So we would, in theory, be issuing a negative determination, but with a in writing confirmation that the native plantings are being put around the 15-foot,
Right,
the
like
fence
they'd
that's at the
be,
15-foot buffer.
around the outside, like a plant, and then, the condition would be fencing at 15 feet off the water, native
With native
plantings
planting.
done around the perimeter of the outside of the fence.
Yeah,
This is an RFD, right?
this is RDA.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, if it's an RDA, we're not specifying that. That's
Right.
what they're going to do,
right.
Yes.
but it's not something we include in the negative determination.
Well, but
There's
Virginia
no
just asked if
order
we
of
include it
conditions.
in writing.
Oh, yeah, there's
We can
a
put that
spot.
in writing.
We can write some of that. There's room for that. As long as you're not doing something like this, then basically if you write this much, you need to do an NOI. If you write this much, you can do an RDA.
Okay.
And this feels like this much writing.
Yeah.
Now you could kick in an NOI easily.
I think to keep it, I mean,
Right.
it seems like we can keep it simple with an RDA and just have this condition written in.
Right, because again, they're just ripping up
Yeah.
turf.
So Virginia, I mean, you stated pretty well, I think, what we would want to do. Do you want to just state that as a motion, if you're comfortable with that?
Your voice is muffled like you're talking.
Yeah, sorry, it's the mask. No, I just said you stated clearly, I think, what our request is for the applicant. So do you want to just state that as a motion? Just so we can get this topic completed?
You asked me to make a motion that
Yeah.
that we issue a positive determination?
No, a negative with conditions.
Okay, and if we're finished collecting our info, I'd like to make a motion that we issue a negative determination with the condition having the agreeing to the fence as presented and attached to the determination, and the hand planting of native species within the 15 feet of the edge of the wetland.
Great. Okay, can they get a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All right, I'll do a roll call vote. Chris Carrier,
Aye.
Virginia Cookson,
Aye.
George Tarr,
Aye.
Lauren Lynch, aye. So, Julian, you're all set with that. Brian will send through the paperwork just with that specific condition written out for you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good evening.
Thank you, you too. All right, so the next item on our agenda is a notice of intent at 18 Allen Road. Ryan McShira to construct an addition to a single-family home and conduct renovation. Do we have a representative of the applicant on the call?
Check the.
Oh, yeah.
Where'd that?
Sorry, if you're trying to speak, we're just looking to get you unmuted.
Are you? I think you're screen sharing. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. And there's Ryan
All right.
and allow to talk.
All right, Ryan, you can go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. My name is Ryan McShara. I'm here from Red Barn Architecture. We are located at number 8 Martin Street in Essex, Massachusetts. And we are here to represent Sharon and Aaron Esker and their application for a notice of intent to build an addition.
Sorry, that's my fault. I just promoted him.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Ryan, you got cut off for a second.
All right, Ryan, you're back. Sorry, I just promoted you in case you wanted to screen share.
Okay, and now we can
Right.
see you too. Great.
Perfect. All right. I would love to do a screen share, actually. Thank you. All right. Shall I start from the top then?
Sure.
All right. Ryan McShara here from Red Barn Architecture, number 8 Martin Street in Essex, and here representing Sharon and Aaron Esker and their application for a notice of intent at number 18 Allen Road to construct an addition off the rear of the home. So in the site plan that we submitted along with our application, you will see Allen Road at the bottom part of the plan, the existing single-family home here, and the location of the addition and rebuilt deck off the rear of the home here. So the wetland area that we're looking at is on the north side of the property. Over here, there's an existing fence line that wraps around an existing shed and around back behind the existing home. And the wetland that we're dealing with is just on the other side of this fence. So if you take a look at the key photo number 5, that's this photo up here. In this photo, the house is to the right of us. Allen Street is behind us. And that wetland is coming in right alongside the fence there. So we've got our 25-foot no disturb offset shown on the plan and the 50-foot no build offset shown on the plan. And by tape survey, we are roughly 46 feet at our closest point to the wetland. And what we'll be doing here in the backyard is obviously excavating for a full foundation, a 4-foot frost wall. So excavating to a depth of 4 feet below grade, and then also installing new sonotube foundations below the rebuilt deck. So that's the major disturbance that we'll be bringing onto the site. We won't be doing anything with the existing fence. The existing fence will be to remain, and we are not doing anything any closer to the wetland than what we're showing here on the plan. So with that, I'll open it up to the board. Be happy to answer any additional questions or go through any information you guys might need.
Thanks, Ryan. So just to confirm, you just said like the proposed deck would go about 4 feet into the 50-foot no disturb zone.
That is correct.
Okay. And there's no way to create the plan such that it wouldn't do that?
No, not technically, because we're with the way the interior layout of the house works and the size of the addition that we're trying to manage. We need to go right up to the edge of the existing home as it's shown right now today.
Okay. And you mentioned some excavation work is going to be done to like work on kind of the build out here, and some sonotubes would be placed in, or could you just reiterate what you mentioned would be done in terms of like removal of ground?
Yes, exactly. So if you see the gray hatched area on the plan, that is the area of the addition.
Yeah.
So in that area, we will be excavating out to a depth of approximately 4 feet below grade for a full frost wall foundation there. And then additionally, the deck will be supported by point loads or sonotubes.
Yeah.
And those will be placed in about right here on the plan.
Okay.
Reverse would be not better.
What'd you say, Virginia?
It's a shame it doesn't have the reverse for the frost wall versus the sonotubes.
Yeah.
Do they know where the water table is? No.
We do not know where the water table is yet. We haven't done any exploratory digging yet.
Okay.
So how much of a slope is there?
For machinery out there? I mean, you got a good amount of space, so where would you store anything that you're bringing in for materials versus what you might be taking out?
Yeah, so we'll be utilizing the side yard here to bring in equipment and be happy to sort of, work with you guys to keep most material that we bring on site, as in frame material, building material, construction material, as far away from the wetland as we possibly can. But in terms of the digging, we will obviously have a good-sized excavator on site to dig this hole and some dump trucks. We will not be bringing in any additional fill or earth as part of this project, and more likely we'll end up removing some from the site in the area of the foundation and then bring it off site.
Thank you. Sorry, Lauren, I spoke without asking. I do have a question.
Go ahead, Virginia. I'm not offended. Jump right in whenever you want to. Yeah, so you said you'll be using that side to the left of the proposed build out for accessing and for driving in the vehicle. So that would be within the 50-foot buffer, right?
It would be, yes.
Okay. Is there any way to do it in a different part of the property that wouldn't expose that buffer to such activity?
We can attempt to do as much as we can on this side of the house.
Yeah.
And we'll be certain to work with the contractor. We do have a little bit of a pinch point here at this part of the property that might make it a little difficult to do all of our load in from this side. But certainly we'll do what we can to sort of keep most of the activity out of the buffer.
Okay. And I think, George, you had mentioned, just wondering about the slope on that side of the property?
Well, it's part of Virginia's question about groundwater.
Yeah.
I mean, how flat is that? I mean, there's no indication of topography there.
Yeah, what is the grading, like what does the slope look like as you head towards the wetland?
So
Take a look at the picture in the bottom left.
Exactly. Thank you,
Yeah.
Virginia. As you can see in this photo here, the grade of the yard slopes downhill. So we're sloping downhill in this general direction this way. And then also the front, the grade slopes from front to back going downhill. You can see this isn't quite a full man door here,
Yeah.
but it's just about a walkout basement in the back.
Gotcha.
The commission was out there a long time ago for the breezeway or perhaps it was for the garage. That's the only reason I remember the land.
Oh, okay. What kind of erosion controls would you put in place for both the construction and then also the bringing in of materials?
We would be happy to set up, appropriate erosion controls. We can do hay bales. We can do an erosion sock. So we'd be open to the commission's requirements and suggestions on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be useful to incorporate.
Lauren, quick question.
Yeah, please.
The construction vehicles, I don't know, I couldn't hear anything for about a minute or so. But construction vehicles, where would they be parked overnight? I assume this is going to take more than a day, right? So where would they be parked? Would they be off-site?
That is a good question. We haven't got that far into the construction side of this yet, as we're obviously trying to get through permitting here first. We can, I think, without committing too much on the contractor, that the actual excavation is probably about a day or so worth of work. So his heavy machinery might only be on site for a day. But we can certainly work to keep, again, out of the 50-foot no-build zone. We've got some space, a little bit of space to work with, and I'll definitely work with the contractors to make sure that we're being as sensitive as possible with not leaving equipment on site.
Yeah, I think at a minimum, we wouldn't want any construction vehicles within the buffer zone.
Yeah.
More than necessary. So.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah. I agree with
Decision,
that.
we need to make sure it gets on to the plan that the contractors will have so they know what we agreed to for whatever it is we agreed to.
Yeah, and I just had another question. The long, elongated rectangle that protrudes through the addition, is that just measuring lines or is that something else?
The long rectangle that protrudes
Oh,
through
yeah.
the
Yeah,
addition.
long.
It looks like
the
it could be
long
like a path
thin-
coming out or something. It like shoots straight up vertically.
The edge of the well.
Yeah.
This is our 50-foot no build line here. And then might be some of the dimensioning offsets. So I've got my dimension line and string here showing the addition at 20 feet by 16 feet. But we're not showing any other landscape improvements or anything to the similar on this
Right,
plan.
so just for my, just so I can resolve it in my brain here, move the hand over to the left. Keep going, stop that long rectangle heading.
Yes, so this is a dimension string line showing that to the wetlands area out back behind the fence. Picture number 2 here, so out back behind the fence, we're roughly 96 feet plus or minus, and then 80 feet to the addition to this area back here.
Okay, great, my eyes are failing me, so thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I couldn't figure out how to ask.
All right. Does anybody on the commission have any other questions or concerns?
Only that the plan reflects what the agreement is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna make a suggestion, the erosion control, which could rot in place, so they don't have to do much with it, is, that rolled, it looked like a bent cigar. I can't remember the name. Anyways, and also I think they should put in an area for where they want to store things. So it's on the plan.
Yeah. Those are good suggestions. So, I mean, I think we can wrap all of these comments into a set of conditions that we can.
Yeah, we can put this all on a condition, do a compost tube for the erosion control, and put up a staging area. In a different context, this might be an edit that we would do to their plans in meeting, but to keep things clean, we should probably continue it. They can make the edits, they can resubmit, and then you guys could approve the new set of plans so that, as Virginia said, what you see is what you get.
Yeah, that sounds like a good approach to me. So, so actually, are the next steps, would we be compiling the conditions that we've just listed, or they will do that and then
No, so basically you just ask them to change their plans to show the boundary of work and the erosion controls on the plans, and then to show staging areas and access points and to put them on the plan. So maybe it's another plan sheet, or maybe 2 plan sheets, depending on how they want to display them. But that's what I heard. I heard you asking them to change the plans and bring them back.
Yeah, Ryan, is that doable for you?
If the board feels like that's the most prudent approach, we could certainly agree. We can certainly have our materials ready for the next meeting. We would love it if we could get through on this meeting and condition those things. But if the board feels that coming back one more time is prudent, we can certainly accommodate that.
Ryan, are you at the meeting?
Yeah.
No, Ryan is not.
Brian is sitting at the table at the microphone, and Ryan is coming in remotely.
Ryan is coming in remotely, or is he there?
Ryan is remote.
Okay, well, you can't add it now, but if he were there, he could put it in. I honestly don't see it being a change of plan. I see it as being additions, comments. I do agree that continue it to the next meeting would be, a really good idea.
Yeah.
So they kind of put it onto the plan. So our plan and their plan will have it on. They both agree with each other. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just, if I may, just
Yep.
add one thing. So I don't know if Ryan has the ability to, draw on this plan that would be saved, those things, if that's just to save them time and money, but that's just a suggestion. The other is, do we want to require downspouts, like away from the wetlands to the extent possible, so that I don't know if that matters. I'm just opening it up to the commission to consider.
That's a good suggestion, Chris, especially, since there will be that roof area that is going to add rainfall that is closer to the boundary. I think that's a great idea.
Well, we could ask them how they were going to do it. Plus, with the totally vegetated grass, at least inside the fence, and the slope on there is not that as bad on that side of the house. I think it's called to the west, I guess. Anyways, it may not need to have
Oh, Virginia, you got muted.
I'm saying because the ground is grass, the level, the topography is flatter between the house and the side fence. May not need a downspout, it certainly needs something to deliver the water to, whether it's stone on the ground or underground blind drain or whatever. But I don't see where we need to ask them to direct the flow. I think there's enough area for it to be absorbed before it hits the wetland. Just my opinion.
Fair. Okay.
I think, Virginia, I think that makes sense, right? Because the slope is so gradual. Is that your feeling?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense to me.
So just one idea to throw out there,
Yeah.
if this works for Ryan, in other contexts, if he was here in front of us, he could draw on the plan, initial and date the plan, and we would accept that. If we want to sort of turn him off,
Yeah,
give him some time to sort of field edit,
come back to it.
and if you accept the plan as presented on screen and he can submit that to me, that might be an electronic way to do something similar.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I think that works. So we can, I see, Ryan, I see you typing in there. So we can kind of pause on this discussion, move on to the next agenda item, let you finish doing that, integrating all of the feedback that was just given now, and then come back at the end of the meeting to review the updates that you have made and then approve that.
I think that makes sense. We can certainly just do that.
Okay.
We need to ask the applicant to allow us to continue it to the next meeting.
No, I think, Virginia, we're going to continue it to later on in this meeting. So Ryan's just going to kind of make the edits in real time now while we discuss the next item on the agenda.
So you're gonna still finish and close this particular meeting, hearing, whatever it is, tonight?
That would be the plan, yeah. And then we don't kind of drag this out only because he's not here in person.
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Commission. My name is Khalil Bogdan. Sorry for me to address you from here.
Yep. Yeah, actually, maybe we should go up there so that you can be heard online as well.
Thank you very much. My name is Khalil Bogdan. My wife Dolores and I live at 12 School Street in Hamilton. And we own almost 4 acres of land there at 12 School Street. And the back of the wetlands that I currently own abuts 18 Allen Road. And I am totally in favor of this project moving forward to them under conditions. I served on the Conservation Commission in Hamilton, so I understand all the protocols that you have to follow to make this variance work. And I'm just want to say that I am in favor of it, and I'm sure that there will be adequate modifications made that you're asking for that will be addressed later on. And as long as the Conservation Commission is comfortable with everything that you've come up with, and that maybe once construction starts, I'm assuming there will be a site walk or someone from the Conservation Commission monitoring the project, I am totally in favor of it. If the Eskers need more space, as a lot of families do, then I hope that this project can move forward for them. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. So I think with that, we are going to let Ryan make those additions. I don't think we need to have a formal closure of this topic right now because we're going to come back to it later in the meeting. So we can pause on this and move on to the next item on the agenda. Is everybody on the commission okay with that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan, just let go of your screen share, would you?
Stop my screen share.
Yeah.
Right.
Lauren, yes, where I'm in favor of that.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. So Ryan, we'll come back to you. So now we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a request for determination at 30 Appaloosa Lane, Arlene and Mark Sargent, to replace a failed leaching area with a new 32 by 20 leaching field while keeping the existing septic tank. So, yeah, do we have a representative of the applicant on the phone?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah, Dan, we can hear you.
Okay, hi. For the record, this is Dan Johnson of Domestic Septic Design. I was hired by the homeowner to upgrade the failed septic system at 30 Appaloosa Lane. Prior to any of the soil testing, I did a site walk and reviewed the original septic plan and basically noted that no matter where we go on the property, we would be within the 100-foot buffer zone. So also trying to put in the backyard would also be very intrusive, either going through the patio, deck, or side area, which would be even closer than what the septic system is already to the adjoining wetland. As a result, we did the soil test right in front where the existing septic system is now. The septic tank is a 1,500-gallon tank, and it goes to 2 leaching trenches, which are in the front yard and under the existing paved driveway. The soil was very suitable, the reason why they initially put the septic system there, along with relatively depth to groundwater, despite being relatively close to the wetland. As a result, I could design a new 32-foot long by 20-foot wide leaching field, pretty much in the same location as the old one. I could keep 100 feet from one side of the wetland, but the closest point was about 74 feet to the edge of the wetland to the closest point of the leaching field. The distribution box would be replaced with the pipes, which is about the same distance away from the field as the distribution box is also. All access and egress would be from the driveway, pretty much by where the garage and the turnaround area is. So all excavation work and installation would be coming in through that area and work its way back. As far as the pre and post grading, there's no mound or change in grading from the leaching area after the septic system is installed. The leaching area is over 2 feet below grade, which I always like to vet. So if you notice, we did put a leaching vent at the end of the field, which instead of leaving it out in the middle of the front yard, I tucked it away in pre-existing shrubs and trees there kind of in the middle of the yard. You can see the erosion control comes from the corner of the house behind that vent and actually all the way along that tree area where the water line presently exists. As far as any questions or comments pertaining to it, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
All right, thanks, Dan. And I've got for Virginia, we've got some feedback issues happening.
I think that's Dan.
All right, Dan, do you mind just muting for a second until you can unmute when you want to speak again?
Unfortunately, I can't hear this.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Ryan,
I hear it,
you
but
can-
it's all muted and faded.
Yeah, Ryan, you're still on, so you might want to mute. There you go.
Let's see. All right, yeah. Ryan's just going to mute you, Dan. Let's see if that... Okay, yeah, that's better. So, Dan, just raise your hand if you want to speak again or answer a question, or we'll just kind of unmute you. But I have the diagram here up on the screen. So, Chris, Virginia, George, do you have any questions about this?
Where's the old leaching field?
It's a replacement in kind. He's pulling it out and putting it back in the same spot.
Ooh, sounds expensive. Okay, thanks.
I have nothing.
Okay. Yeah, this seems pretty straightforward.
I think this is one of those pieces of land that has so little area, they have to reuse what they have.
Yeah.
This is what you call replacing the best you can, and even if it didn't meet state codes, it would be the closest you can get. So
Yeah.
this does meet state codes, and I think it's it's acceptable. It's basically replacing what was there.
Okay. George, any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll give George a break and I'll make a motion that we issue a negative determination of applicability with respect to the replacement of the failed leaching area at 30 Appaloosa Lane as presented to tonight's meeting.
Great, thanks,
Second
Chris.
that.
All right, thanks, Virginia. Can I get a vote? George Tar,
Aye.
Virginia Cookson,
Aye.
Chris Courier,
Aye.
Lauren Lynch, aye. All right, so Dan, you guys are all set. And I know you're still muted, so sorry about that. So now we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, a continuation from the last meeting, a notice of intent at 3 Arabian Way. And I know we have representatives here in the room with us, so yeah, we'll let you guys get set up. Yeah, the camera should follow you. Yeah, I think he's in there working some magic, maybe. Yeah, use the mic at the podium, please.
There's 2 signature pages on that one, too.
Okay.
For the record, I'm Kurt Young from Lucas Environmental, representing George Benoit. With me this evening is Chip Nyland from Leach, DeSimonis and Nyland. This is a continuation of a public hearing for the construction of a house on a piece of property that's already sort of been developed in the sense that it has a driveway, septic system, retaining walls, et cetera, associated with it. At the last public hearing session, we had a sort of a discussion because of our concern over, what changes really could be made in this that would make the commission comfortable with it. And I'll make this a portable mic for a second. And at that point in time,
I'm sorry, is there any way to zoom in closer on that for the members that are, there you go,
Yeah.
thank you.
does that work for people? There you go. So I'll work off the screen. That looks like it would be a little bit easier, actually.
No, actually, I think it's best if you do stay here.
Okay,
'cause
they
he's
are,
got-
it is a shot off of
You're
there.
on
So,
that camera.
so this is the previous site plan that was in front of the commission and which was appealed to DEP.
Hold. Just put the microphone a little closer to your mouth.
This was appealed to DEP, and DEP approved this project under the state regulations. It's still under appeal at the local level. In discussions with the commission, the primary concern related to the location of the driveway, which is within, actually between the 50-foot and the 75-foot no-build zone. Our discussions really sort of revolved around the fact that the portion of the driveway coming in from the existing common driveway really couldn't be changed because it's an easement, and it's also up against a relatively steep bank at this point. So what we did was file a revised site plan which shows, the red is the driveway, being pulled out of the 75-foot buffer zone limit as soon as it gets into the lot boundary itself. In the easement, we had to sort of keep it in there. But we brought it out in front of the house, changed the configuration of the house a little bit, kept the house, again, outside of the 75-foot no build zone, and brought the driveway to a garage under the edge of the actual house. So I think that sort of resolved the issue that you folks had at that point with regard to that, that design. I will also mention that this plan, which I have copies for you folks, I don't think Brian's been able to make copies to distribute. So if you give me a moment, I'll distribute a plan.
You want me to do that part?
Sure, that'd be great. There's 3 copies for you.
Yeah, beautiful, worked out.
Yep.
Those are littles?
Or the little ones, John.
You guys want big ones? You want little ones?
I'll take a little one personally.
Little sounds good to
Yeah.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So then just in case, we'll put these to it.
Cool. All right.
Just in case.
Okay. So this is the plan that you have just being distributed to you, and it's slightly different from the plan which we submitted a week or so ago. And it's, the only change on it is related to a conversation that Brian and I had with regard to the old original order of conditions, where there was a condition in there about vernal pool setbacks, and if the new buyers are gonna, do anything within the 100-foot buffer zone, they need to come visit the commission. And I think it was a pretty stark point that, be assured this is gonna be an issue. But I'll bring to your attention the fact that, this is really a detention basin at this point. It's got a potential vernal pool. We really haven't seen specific vernal pool species in it. And the vernal pool itself doesn't start at the wetland boundary. If there was one there, it would be where we've seen inundated areas, and that's well into that wetland area. So I don't want to build the idea of a vernal pool up too far, because I don't think it's really been certified. No, it hasn't been certified, but I don't think it really has been investigated to the degree that it would be. And I think, however, if you put that condition in for the new buyers, it would be their obligation to confirm whether it was or was not a vernal pool.
Okay.
So, anyways, that site plan, the only change on it is the note down in the center of the plan. George, can you see where I'm pointing? It says 100-foot buffer to BBW and vernal pool.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was gonna ask
Okay.
where the 100-foot buffer from the vernal pool is.
Right,
Okay,
right,
so
right.
it kind of cuts right through the house, the middle of the house?
Yes, it does. Yep, yep. The other thing we changed was the revision date to reflect that change.
Okay.
Yeah, and just while we're on that point, the way the condition was written, it was the driveway and the septic was under the old order, right?
Yeah, the driveway was basically came in pretty much straight in. The house was much longer. It came close to the 50-foot no build, which was at that point in time the criteria. So we've scaled the house back, good 25 feet, and pulled everything out of that no build zone within the house lot itself.
Right.
Grading for the house, there's,
Yeah, so that the certificate of compliance that went along with that, that we talked about, the order of conditions had as a perpetual condition, so the condition would survive the issuance of the order of conditions that, regardless of whether it is or isn't, or provable or unprovable or, whatever, that that would be treated as a vernal pool. And the vernal pool has a no disturb, and the no disturb is built in the regs as saying that the vernal pool and all adjacent aura, so the adjacent upland resource area that's adjacent to the vernal pool, all becomes a no disturb. So arguably, you've got a no disturb that's anywhere the lines are.
But so just so
That's
I
written yeah.
Okay, and
actually,
so,
if I may.
yeah.
Go ahead.
The other part of that condition, though, was that it was subject to, without
Fair
the
point.
review and approval of the commission.
Yeah.
okay,
In other words, if you wanted to propose an activity in the aura or within the 100-foot vernal pool setback, you had to come to the commission, which you'd
Okay.
have to do anyways because it's buffer zone, so it's jurisdictional. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
but I think what it was intended to be, and I was involved in that hearing, is sort of a heads up and a sort of a cautious warning to, the buyers that they need to be considered the fact that there's a potential vernal pool.
yeah,
And I think it would be their obligation, as I said earlier, to demonstrate it wasn't a vernal pool if they, wanted to do work. So,
okay,
anyways, I think that, this is the plan that we would recommend referencing in an order of conditions.
okay. And just so I understand, so that condition around the, respecting the 100-foot no disturb zone around that vernal pool, came along with the development, like the build out of the original section of the driveway and the septic, you said, which,
It was in the original order of conditions for the construction of a house, the septic system, the retaining wall, and the driveway.
okay.
Okay.
So all of that was built, having brought the plan at that time to the commission. The commission at the time was, like, recognized that condition and
Correct.
approved.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yeah, yeah. And as I say, the earlier proposal had this portion of the driveway the way it is, brought it more into the 50-foot no-build zone, and the house actually extended pretty much to that location, the 50-foot no-build. So I think what I'm pointing out is the fact that everything's been pulled back
Yep,
25 feet
okay,
within the lot itself.
okay.
And if there's any questions, I'm more than happy to address them.
Yeah, Virginia, I know you weren't at the last meeting when we last discussed this, so I maybe want to give you a chance first to reflect on the amendments that have been made to the plan as now proposed, and any concerns that you may still have. Virginia, you may not actually have any questions or comments, but if you do or are saying anything, we don't hear you.
She's muted,
Yeah.
so if she does, we're not hearing it.
All right, I'm gonna open it up.
Virginia, oh, there she goes.
Oh, yeah,
And Lauren, if you want to share your screen, the others can see.
sure, yeah, here, Brian pulled up the order.
Are you looking at the order and conditions from 2007?
Yeah,
Correct.
it's right here. Here, it's number 31.
'31 has a selected area to comment.
Virginia's muted again.
I'm not doing that.
No.
I don't know why it keeps doing that.
Yeah.
I don't,
Virginia, I think you've muted yourself again.
Yeah, I'm reading. I'm
Okay.
phone.
It was intentional, got it.
No. Somewhere I got lost in this whole presentation. Sorry, Kurt.
Hi.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say or how I'm supposed to react. What?
Okay, no worries. I mean, I think my takeaway right now, the biggest change was based on the last meeting we had discussed repositioning the lower portion of the driveway. So it's been shifted out of the 50-foot no disturb zone, and it's now, rather than being to the left of the house, and let me just stop my screen share so that we can get a visual on the map again. Rather than being to the left of the house, it's now, as you can see outlined in red, above the house, outside of that 50-foot buffer.
Outside of the 75-foot buffer.
Outside of the 75.
And
Yep. So that amendment reflects a suggestion that George had made at the last meeting. So maybe, George, I'll turn it to you if you have any comments on the redesign of the proposal.
Well, it looks exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's fine with me.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that reflects exactly what we spoke about. It looks like it addresses the major concern that I had about that portion of the driveway being within the 75-foot no build. And so I do recognize the point on the condition that, you know, anything within the 100-foot is presented to the commission and discussed by the commission. It looks okay to me as it is right now, and I know we discussed all of the erosion control that will be done.
Correct.
In that part of the construction.
couple
So, yeah, Chris,
questions.
did you have a question?
Yes, can you put the plan back up?
Let's see.
Right, so the driveway is still going to be permeable, right, in all
Correct,
respects,
yeah.
in all
It'll be
areas?
pervious pavement, correct.
And so previously, you had mentioned rather, that the driveway, the access driveway leading to the lot is through an easement. And
Correct.
now a portion of the driveway crosses over that green line just before you get to the lot line. So there's a small, like a triangle, that's the bottom of which is the lot line, and the left side of which is a right angle triangle, or right, a 90-degree triangle, where the left is the green line above the house.
Yes, the green line is a 75-foot no-build
Right.
zone, and the red
That's right.
line is the edge of the driveway. And the
Right.
easement comes right to this point right here, so we're
Oh.
still within the easement,
Okay.
all right?
You addressed my question, that you don't need to get a grant of a new easement in order to do this.
No,
It already exists.
we can do this within the existing easement.
Correct, okay.
Yep.
Great, those are my questions, thank you.
Thank you.
So Virginia, did you have any questions, or,
You talk to me?
yeah, do you
Sorry.
have a better sense of like what the kind of change is?
I have no questions and I have a lot of questions. I don't know. I really am lost with why they filed again. I know you try to avoid a court case. That's not a bad idea. But how did you folks decide moving your driveway would solve everything?
This was input primarily from the Conservation Commission, and recognizing that, you know, we couldn't do too much about the driveway within the easement. We might have some flexibility down with the house, and we sort of challenged the engineers a little bit to come up with a layout that would still work and be feasible for the lot, and that's what we came up with.
Yeah, and Virginia, maybe I can just add to that based on the last meeting. You know, as the discussion went, our understanding is that the top portion of the driveway broadly has already been established. They are going to be adding impervious pavement to it. But our concerns at the last meeting were that the lower portion of the driveway, which has not yet been built, would be within the 75-foot buffer, which we did not want to see. And that was really the primary concern that we had during the meeting. So the suggestion was to move it out of the buffer. But I didn't have any other concerns about the plan as is at the time, but I definitely welcome comments about any other issues if you think kind of this element of moving the driveway doesn't solve other issues with the plan.
My reason for going, saying nay on the order of conditions didn't have anything to do with the lower
Okay.
driveway. I have no objection to, moving it and getting it further away from the wetland. That's fine, but I looked at it and studied it as much as I could, and I do believe that we couldn't condition this lot to protect it the way we're supposed to protect it. So to me, it's a mute exercise.
I guess, could you just explain a little bit more about like the specific elements that do bring you the most concern, just so I can better understand?
You have a few hours?
No. Well, we do have that limitation in place that our meetings can't go past 10, so I suppose you have some time.
Limitation was a great idea to add. I'm sorry, I can't explain it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. because it's something that I've experienced as others have on, other missions have come and gone, and sometimes you can go by the law with the WPA and stuff, and technically you can condition it, but the parcel very often still destroys wetlands. Sometimes it's because of the particular parcel. And at least that's part of my thinking, okay?
Yeah.
But I really would have to take a lot more time, which we don't have.
Yeah.
So I'll just throw a few things in here. Kurt, did you happen to know, like you didn't put on the plan as part of our talk, but there was that reference to the constructed wetland. Do you know where they did a
No,
replication or repair?
I don't believe there was. We did compensatory plantings, which may be the confusion. We put 30 shrubs in to compensate for the house and the septic system, everything else within the aura.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that may have been the enhancement or the mitigation, but it did read sort of funny because I couldn't find anything in the file. We didn't want to get that close to the wetland, I mean, quite frankly, and maintain the buffer. So the idea was, we probably was a drop back position to say, okay, rather than a replication area for aura, which really would be difficult to do. I mean, how do you the supplemental planting seemed to be appropriate.
Yeah, an aura replication would make more sense. So in the conditions that we just showed you, I think it was number 27, had some odd language that the certificate of compliance wouldn't be issued until the wetland replication was done. And, as we just discussed, we don't know where that is or where it would be.
I think that may have been just a mistake to basically be saying that the compensatory mitigation work that was going to be done, the plantings would be done, and they were done.
Okay. And then
Why are you taking the time on an old condition has expired? It's expired.
Well, it's
There's
not
no
expired.
obvious-
It's a COC. It actually is closed rather than expired. That was part of the discussion last week or last meeting that they
Semantics
actually.
are right.
Sorry, go ahead, Virginia.
The semantics is correct. I was incorrect in my wording.
Yeah. And so, I was going through this looking for, the perpetual conditions and to see what was, in the past. And just making sure that, whatever ended up happening now would be respecting the process that had gone through already. And my question at this point it mostly has to do with house geometry. You've changed the driveway a little bit. Is there room to flip the house so that the garage sort of is where the walkway is and sort of, rejigger the geometry a little bit? You've got can you play games with that stuff and this stuff and do a swap like this?
We tried to play with it, but you have a 16-foot sideline setback here and a tall retaining wall. Yeah. Remember, it's about 8 feet tall, as I recall, something 6 to 8. So that's a real problem. The other one is a setback to the septic system components. Yeah. So rotating it became a problem because as you rotate it, you get closer to that.
Yeah. My confusion. My confusion had to do with the retaining wall there, and then the lines of elevation, and sort of like which one was in control.
Well, the wall is already constructed,
Right.
so the grading will be,
If you graded
fit the
it
house.
differently, you'd mess with the wall.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so then, on my mind, that was it in terms of the project, as presented now. And then to Virginia's point, something to the effect of some kind of hard bounding at some point in the project, signs, boulders, et cetera, to say, thou shalt not go past this really obvious
Sure.
thing.
I'd leave that up to the commission to make it, signposts or stones. Are fine. We have plenty of stones, as I recall, in this particular area. So
Monument or something, whatever works.
yeah,
Yeah, I've seen some nice markers that kind of clearly indicate the presence of a wetland boundary.
We
not
use
to
a
be
lot of
passed.
those sort of 4-inch round, conservation land, do not
Yeah.
disturb type of things. Yeah.
Okay.
Usually a pressure-treated piece of lumber, for the 2 or 3 foot reveal, with that sign on the top.
Well, can I say something?
Yeah,
Or
please.
I'm not interrupting anyone, am I?
Go for it.
I hope I'm not interrupting.
Nope, the floor is
Okay.
yours, Virginia.
Oh, sorry, I just unmuted her. Tried to. Sorry, Virginia, I'm trying to help you and I muted you instead.
No, yeah, she's good.
We'll figure it out somehow. First of all, this is a totally separate new NOI that was filed this past this month, maybe past month. Okay, if you are dealing with that, and therefore you have some more ideas, new ideas that you're discussing. Looking back at the old order of conditions, you might indeed be able to find something that will assist you and assist us, excuse me, in being able to address everything that needs to be addressed. We do, of course, have 2 new commissioners on the commission, well, 2 more that are working on it anyways, and so they'll come with their own new ideas.
And I think that, Brian, was what you were doing in reviewing the old order, as I understood it, yeah.
Why is this muting Virginia?
I think actually she might be doing it herself intentionally.
You want me to keep my finger on the space bar?
As long as we can hear you, Virginia, that's all that matters.
Oh, that's wonderful. Somebody wants to hear me. Wow. Anyways, to Kurt, you're doing a great job. I don't know how you keep yourself so even-tempered.
Thank you, Virginia.
You've been really good in answering the questions as well. Yeah, I was confused, and I decided just to go back and decide, okay, it's a new filing, now why were they looking? So thank you, Bert, for saying that you were just referencing it for the very reason I mentioned. Thank you.
All right. So any other questions from anybody, or should we?
Madam Chairman?
Yes, please.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. And this is out of my realm here, but has the commission actually done a site walk?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of site walks, I think, yeah. Yeah, thank you. All right. All of that discussion having happened and looking at the new proposal then, would any of the commissioners like to make a motion?
What can, excuse me, what can we actually do at this point? What's the appropriate motion?
So your list of options are deny them again, and arguably have 2 court cases about the same thing. The denial in this case, you could arguably base under the bylaw because of the bit in the old order of conditions that you've got a no-build zone that goes to 100 feet and you're going to hold the line really hard. So that'd be a split. I don't think you could deny them under the state, under the WPA. You could approve, the plan that's presented, or you could, have conditions that are specialized and, have them sort of feel that the plan now, or, have me write up the conditions and do an approval with special conditions. So in a manner of speaking, you've got the usual plate of options in front of you, with the exception being that if you denied under the bylaw, you would have the old order of conditions that sort of, in a manner of speaking, strengthened the no-build consideration in the bylaw. So that's the menu. Did I miss any?
I think that gives the options, yeah. Chip, did you want to weigh in on anything?
Well, no, I think that the purpose of coming back to you was we reviewed your denial we know that you were concerned about the work within the 75-foot area. We came back to you a couple of weeks ago. You confirmed that that was an important point, and we then have redesigned the project, so I think that we meet what the commission's concerns were with this project so that it can go forward. That's our purpose, is not to litigate this, but to come up with a project that meets what your concerns are. I think everybody can hear me. I'm not.
No, but for the audience at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the AV, yeah.
All right, well.
Also, for the record, who are you?
I'm sorry, Chip Nyland, representing the applicant, and to George's question in terms of why we're here, is after we received the approval from Mass DEP that said that we meet and protect the interests of the act, we thought it was appropriate to come back to the commission under the bylaw and to see exactly what your concerns are, given that the area has, as Kurt indicated, been developed. We're not starting with a truly vacant property. A lot of work has been approved and taken place out there, and in order to do the right thing, the owner and the engineers were able to move the driveway, as you had suggested, Mr. Tarr, so that we could take it out of the 75-foot area, meet that requirement of the bylaw, and come up with what we consider to be a better design, and one that we think that can be approved by the commission now. And we were heartened when we came in front of you a couple of weeks ago, when that was reflected in what the commission's concern was. So I think we've addressed your concerns, so that our view is that you have a project that you can approve under the bylaw and under the act, and we're hoping that's what takes place tonight.
You want to run over the procedural steps beyond an approval?
Yeah, what would happen is, to the extent that this is approved, we would then withdraw the appeal of the denial. And we already have an approval from the DEP. This has been filed under the Wetlands Act and under the bylaw. So we would go back to DEP and say, we don't need that superseding order because we have an approval from you under both the Wetlands Act and under the bylaw. We can either withdraw, or we could, I think I lost the,
No, you're good.
or we could, file a certificate of compliance that says that we didn't do the work. So procedurally, when this is approved, which we hope will take place tonight, this will be the order of conditions under both the Wetlands Act and the bylaws, so the commission will control the project. Is that clear?
Yeah, Virginia, I heard you chime
We
in.
have to cancel one and allow the other. You have a new plan here, you have a different plan here than the one that was with the previous filing that the DEP has a copy of. They don't have a copy of this one, as far as I know. Well, yeah, you've already filed that. I don't know how you get it to substitute one.
They've been copied on it, Virginia.
Anyways.
Okay. So, yeah, so procedurally, we could approve this NOI, you would withdraw the other and remove that from the appeals process.
So there would only be one order
Yeah.
under the bylaw and one under the Wetlands Act, which would be the.
Pertain to this plan.
Yeah. Control would be here.
Yeah. Okay, that's,
So which would control, the WBPA one or this new one?
The new one,
the new one.
That would supersede the WPA?
correct.
No, it won't supersede.
It's one and the
because it
same.
is under the WPA. It's under both.
Yeah, Virginia, procedurally, the first one that was denied would be made moot. There's like 3 different options we have to do that. And so by mooting the previous, this new approval would then be, under not a superseding order, but a regular order of conditions that would be permitted through both the local and the state law.
It would supersede the superseding order because it'd be the most recent update.
Right, the dog would catch its tail, basically.
I do understand. It's just procedurally, things get confusing and
Yeah.
you want everything to be followed correctly. And we don't do this all the time.
Yeah, this is weird.
Okay.
So then, from the discussion of how to approve and, if you guys want special conditions, do you want to do the demarcation? Do you want to do some other kind of thing? Is there anything outside of the ordinary that you would want to condition into this project to feel more comfortable, especially Virginia, since you've got several unmentioned hours of issues? If there's anything that you can add to the mix that, even if it doesn't make you feel totally amazing, might make you feel slightly better, now would be a good time to bring them up.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I would like to add that demarcation element to a condition that we could have, such that the wetlands boundaries would be demarcated.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
I might offer a suggestion to the board that the DEP did issue a set of conditions. You might consider starting with that and adding to it.
Was it just boilerplate?
It's hard to tell about boilerplate from DEP, but I think it probably gives you a pretty good start. But you could then add the demarcation if you want to put that vernal pool stipulation in as a perpetual condition. That would be, an addition. Beyond that, we get the boundary and the vernal pool setback. So it seemed that those are the two we've been discussing. So beyond that, I think you have to.
Yeah, anything else would be new still.
Yeah.
Do we have to decide all of those conditions right now in order to approve?
No, but you have to decide them before you close.
Yeah,
I can't make things up for you after the meeting.
right.
I could negotiate with them after the meeting about whether to do pressure treated wood or stones or cement if you use broad language, say demarcators. But if you want a thing, and you say we want boulder demarcators, then when they try to put stone, timber on the plan, I'll deny, I'll tell them not to.
Yeah.
It's just sort of how much wiggle room you want to build into it.
Okay.
You could have a condition that gave that authority to the agent that we could work out monuments acceptable to the administrator.
Okay.
And signation, yeah.
Okay. That is
Okay,
a
I'll do that then.
condition that I would like to suggest.
That's got to be part of your motion.
And
then, I don't know, Virginia, anything
yeah.
from you?
Not really. Not really.
Okay.
Okay. So then we do
Oh,
need someone to make a motion.
Hear me?
I'm not
Yeah.
clear about what we do with the order of
Mute
conditions.
myself.
Are we working on the, from the original, the one that we were seeing up there?
No, that
No,
one
those
is
are-
closed. That one's
Closed, so
Yeah.
that's nothing to do with,
So we, right now, we've discussed adding the kind of monument demarcators as a condition, giving Brian the capacity to decide the details of those as a condition. But we don't have any other conditions right now. I mean, I assume some element of erosion control is incorporated into the
is.
standard, yeah.
Shown on the site plan.
Yeah,
we didn't, forgive me if I'm overlooking or missing, but did we get into landscaping in the know this or the know that zone?
No, we haven't gotten into landscaping. I think because we're gonna have a buyer, if you wanted to condition it that the buyer would come back with a landscape plan for,
yeah,
No,
for our
you-
approval, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking sort of with the no, with the demarcators, which line are they gonna follow? And, will it ebb and flow from the 50 foot to the 75 foot to the 100 foot? How are we gonna, should we maybe do a field edit on this plan now so that I know where the monuments are gonna go? Or,
we've given Ryan an awfully lot of time to do his site plan. And maybe, I guess I'll take credit for that. But I've always found that it's easier to have an applicant or have a buyer decide what they want for landscaping. I mean, it's really
Yeah.
sort of a personal thing.
Yeah.
All right.
And, like, I like perennials and I like peach trees, and perennials might do fine here. Peach trees would never grow because it's too great a canopy. So I would leave that up to the buyers, and if
Okay.
you feel like you need to have them come back with a, landscape plan, I think that would be
Well,
appropriate.
so
Yeah.
for you guys, the point of my question being essentially, if we put up monuments that say, thou
Right.
shalt not do anything behind this, where do you want that to go? It doesn't necessarily have to follow the lines, as drawn. For instance, just, like, we could run the monuments down here to this, thank you. We could run the monuments down here to this point and then jump down to this line, run them here, jump down to this line, jump back up. We could, so,
Yeah.
if the way you tell me to write the conditions, I want to, do it the way you mean it.
Yeah.
Opposed to the way I end up writing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's very important that we demarcate where the 50-foot no disturb is for people, and that's, I mean, it's far enough away from the house that it's not like it's, like the 75 we see is right by the house, and so it's a bit
Right.
odd to have a monument there, but I think we should fairly consistently demarcate where that 50-foot no disturb is, personally.
Won't you be putting your markers at the 75 no disturb?
Well, it's not a 75 no disturb, is there?
The 75 no build?
Or
Okay,
maybe
no
100
bills,
disturb or
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think the 50-foot seems like, not an unreasonable limit on that particular plan for landscaping.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's a strong line where no disturbance should happen after that, right? And I think, obviously, any sort of building would come back to us anyway, but from a practical point of view, in terms of use of the space by the owner or people who go there, to know where there can be no disturbance of the area is
Yeah.
the most critical.
No children allowed.
Yeah, no playing.
Kids can't play in the wetlands, and that's a fun place to play. I know, I used to do it.
Yeah, so that's, my proposal would be, that is the condition that we put them there.
All right, so you have 50 foot, running
Yeah.
down the 50 foot.
Yeah,
Yeah, at the risk of stating the obvious, we've asked permission for the activities that are on this plan. So if there are any other activities that are proposed, other than what's been approved, then they have to come back to you to approve those. So as long as you put that in the order, I think it's very clear what we've proposed, and then anything else, they're gonna have to come back to you.
yeah. Yeah. I agree. So I'm going to make a motion then. Can I do that?
I'm not sure if you can.
I can't make a motion. Can someone?
Just run the meeting.
Okay, I will not. Would one of the other three members of the commission like to, do you feel comfortable knowing what the motion would be, that we would issue an approval or denial? And if we issue the approval, we've just discussed the conditions that would be added, which Brian will compile.
So we don't have to actually specify everything goes in the order of conditions, just it's a usual order of conditions plus
Plus the elements that
where
we've just
the
verbally discussed. Yeah.
monument
Yeah.
line will go to mark the 50-foot no disturb,
Correct.
and that's it. And
Well, I mean, the perpetual conditions from the old, I'd probably rewrite and just carry through since they're perpetuals, but
Yeah.
other than that.
right.
Well, one thing, I don't know, it's more like already in one of the standard perpetual, standard special, but to make sure that the no disturb as in no throwing cut grass in there or things like that, no filling it or for that matter, they shouldn't be going in and removing a lot of vegetation to clear the junky look to what it might look like. Neither one should be allowed, either adding or subtracting, and it should be in a special condition.
Okay, we can add that.
Right.
effectively firmly reiterating that no disturb means no disturb at all.
Perfect.
Yeah. If they want to remove things, and people often will want to remove trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Come back, there's no reason they cannot come back to the commission and say, we know we're not supposed to, but we need to do such and such for whatever reason. And we've allowed that before.
Okay.
The commission may recall a couple of fill piles from the original construction that were located sort of right in this area here. I don't know if they're within the 50-foot or not, but I'd at least, if we can agree that they can be removed and graded out, because they're just piles of rock and fill material
Yeah.
pushed up, so.
Good idea.
Yes. Yeah. Let's add. Yeah. We'll add that in.
Man-made materials don't belong there.
True. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Any other additions or barring any, I welcome a motion.
Do we need to see the order of conditions when it's written?
If you want to, that's your prerogative. It's up to you.
Well, it seems like you understand exactly what needs to go into it, so
I mean, I hope so.
suppose not.
I do. Yeah.
We don't usually.
Yeah. Yeah. I have confidence in Brian's.
I have confidence in me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have confidence in Brian.
Yeah.
The special conditions can't actually be written until after the meeting or hearing is closed.
Yeah.
And we can't ask for any more information, but we can, may come to mind that there's some other special condition that might be pertinent that can be added that isn't talked about right now. We simply can't ask for any more information.
Right.
Okay.
So just to be clear, are we saying that we're treating the 50-foot boundary line or wetlands setback line as if it were the 25-foot no disturb zone under the current zoning? I'm sorry, not zoning, but the wetlands bylaws?
Well, since under the bylaw, the 50-foot is a no disturb, that's, I think, what we're talking about, right?
Chris, I think more or less you're right. The detail that is sort of promoting that choice is the no build vernal pool detail in the old order of conditions, and then the fact that as Virginia alluded to, she's uncomfortable with some things, and so by moving that line out, a buyer would get this lot, and that particular detail would be sort of pinned down. It's just a way to sort of appease
But
Virginia's.
the 50-foot line is not something we're asking for. It's something it's in our bylaw.
Yeah.
It's just we don't usually encounter lots that have no house on it, have not had a house on it, and therefore the bylaw has stricter no disturb and no build. So those particular regs have existed as long as the ones we're used to using for homes that are already there, and we have the 25 and the 50. Well, because the house is already there, we just don't use the other ones that often because there's not a lot of homes being built, individual homes anyways, in Hamilton.
Chris, just another way to frame that. Arguably, as we were discussing earlier, you could call the whole 100-foot a no disturb. And so the fact that we're just saying, well, we'll treat 50 feet as no disturb rather than the usual 25 is sort of, a classic meeting them in the middle in a literal way. And so then when the property does transfer.
It's not an agreement. It's not an agreement.
All right. Well, anyway. Chris, did that work?
It does, yes. That's. I just wanted the clarification on that, so I'm understanding it correctly, and I am. Thank you.
Just because I see Mr. Tarr is struggling a little bit, I think it's a very simple motion to approve the plan in front of the commission with the special conditions that have been discussed by the commission this evening.
Yeah, I agree with that. George, do you want to do that?
I think he phrased it very well. Yeah, I move we approve the revised plan that we see before us, and with the order of conditions, including the special conditions, which were discussed, like the 50-foot, marking the 50-foot line and removing some of the materials that now exist within the 75-foot, and whatever else I didn't include.
Okay, thank you, George. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Chris. All right, roll call vote. Virginia Cookson?
Against?
All right, George Tarr?
Aye.
Chris Courier?
Aye.
Lauren Lynch? Aye.
Okay.
So we have 3 ayes, 1
Thank you.
nay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Do you want these?
All right, now we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is for the commission to review and take appropriate action related to a Hamilton Board of Health 10-day emergency permit issued to Nicholas Okanga of 670 Bay Road to address beaver flooding issues at the subject property. Do we have a representative from the?
I'm not seeing that name.
Thank you.
The Board of Health register, yeah.
Okay,
The
well
Board of
then I'll
Health
just,
has the right, is also the department takes care of all the animals. And so this is just part of their setup, their emergency. Is we have emergency ones too to come in, be taken care of. Done this in the past, and it hasn't needed other department okays, but I'm perfectly willing to hear from everybody else to see if I'm wrong about that. Maybe it's changed.
yeah, so Virginia, the Board of Health last night did issue their emergency certification, and according to the rumor mill, the beaver in question was trapped today. But what is not in the Board of Health jurisdiction is the dam removal and the installation of any water level control devices such as a beaver deceiver. And so
I had no idea about any of that information. All you could see is about the beaver.
Yeah. So basically, the Board of Health gave permission to trap the beaver. And now if they want permission to take the dam down, that's what they're asking us for.
That would really be silly. The beaver would have it back up in 2 days. Beaver
Well-
deceiver is definitely the way to go. It's the
Well,
only thing.
Virginia, by saying the beaver is trapped today, I think they killed the beaver. So the beaver won't be doing that.
Well, there's usually more than one beaver in there, 2
True.
adults plus kids. But I don't know, maybe one adult doesn't do well.
Oh, we'll find out, I suppose.
But beaver deceivers really, they work wonderfully in most places.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with this at all. I admit, this is my first time discussing
Okay,
beaver
so then a
deceivers.
quick intro to beaver biology, ecology, and such. Beavers respond to the sound of running water.
Right.
And
Right.
so when running water
That's
goes
right.
over a dam, they make the dam taller. The beaver deceiver is like putting a drain behind the dam, and it runs the pipe under the dam. And so you set the water level.
Through the dam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, under,
Yeah.
through. Yeah,
Yeah.
depends on the detail.
So it has a big box at the beginning where the beaver's gonna hear water and try to get in there and stuff it. But the size of the openings are actually perfect for the beaver not to get into it.
Right.
And still allow everything else to happen properly.
So in this case, the applicant hasn't talked about that, but we, administratively in town hall, we're just talking about how not to have this problem again.
Yeah.
And one of the ideas that was floated was that just like an RDA, you can write conditions into this emergency certification. And so if you grant the emergency certification to pull down the dam and lower the water level, you could write in to say, please come back by, I don't know, September 30th with a plan to not have this happen again.
Okay, and that would address
That'd be-
Virginia's explicit concern about subsequent beaver rebuildings. Okay.
Right. Gonna ask the landowner to guarantee that a beaver's not gonna come back and build a dam? Well, I mean, really, that's what it sounds like.
Oh, right, but we're gonna tell the beaver how tall the dam can be by controlling the water level is the idea. The thing at issue too is that there's no town jurisdiction or access or rights of ways or anything like that, and so you know, in a manner of speaking, if the landowner doesn't want to put in a beaver deceiver, then this might well just happen again.
Okay.
And that's a whole other ball of paperwork wax.
Paperwork, you're right, you know. I think we should be able to issue them, it sounds to me like it should be an emergency one, though the beaver might be dead and so they're not gonna rebuild, but normally the beaver is still not gonna be there because they remove them, but other beavers will move in.
Yeah.
So I think giving them a permit and having them reply by that date in September, whatever, if you think it's reasonable, reply to us that he has removed the dam. And then somebody, maybe Brian, will have to go and take a look that the dam is not there.
Okay, that seems reasonable. And then do we add to that a condition that in the event that beaver activity is identified in the future, that a beaver deceiver is installed as soon as such activity is observed to prevent the situation from arising again?
Actually, no, you've got to do it first. Once the beaver's there,
You can't.
the
let-
beavers
okay.
that are in the pond can't be tricked because they know how the pond
Yeah,
behaves.
no, okay.
So you have to fix the pond before the next generation moves in.
Okay, so can we add a condition that a beaver deceiver is installed after, yeah?
Yeah, well, I'll just pick a date that you want to see them by, and I'll put it on it.
Add a little tiny proviso, you know, a beaver deceiver or similar, I don't know, apparatus, what do you want to use, that will sufficiently keep the beaver out, or keep the water level, excuse me, to keep the water level lowered.
Okay,
You know, I mean, it's, you can tell me there's only one thing that will do it, and maybe the beaver deceiver, I think of it is the only thing I've heard that works, but you always have to leave it open because something else might be out there that's even better.
true. That's a very good point. There's lots of creative energy that could be put into that as well. So, Virginia, can I take that as a motion from you?
I wish I could understand, like,
Sorry, I'll move my mask. No, I was just asking, you stated, I think, quite eloquently what we would object to do. So can I take that as a motion from you?
Okay, make it a motion.
Okay. Virginia has issued a motion to issue the emergency permit.
And
I
with
didn't
what
With
date?
I didn't hear
yeah.
all the words, but that's okay.
So Virginia has issued a motion to issue the emergency permit under the condition that they remove all of the beaver dam by, what date do we want to put? September?
No, it's a 10-day permit.
Oh, so they have to remove it by then, and then you go and review that the work has been done and confirm that our request of a beaver deceiver or other similar apparatus be installed.
Other like structure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would tweak it a little bit to say something more like they'll come up with a plan and come before you with an RDA or an
Sure.
NOI or some such by, like, pick a day. Like, you know, how long do you think you want to give them before they?
Can we give them, I mean, they're going to do the removal within 10 days, so that would be kind of right in front of our next meeting, and then can we give them the next meeting? So it'd be 2 meetings from now,
So you want to say the 8th?
September, yeah.
Okay.
Do you think they have to go through a filing on top of the emergency permit?
Virginia, after the emergency permit goes through, if they do come before you to talk about the beaver deceiver, and they do choose to move forward with that, or you know, I don't think
Yeah.
you can enforce
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but if they choose
But
to
I
move
mean,
forward,
just-
yeah, that would be a whole different filing.
Right. It's only if they have to put something, do something else physical there that we should make them file. Right?
Right.
That would-
This is a
Fine.
polite request rather than an enforcement, though. So, because there's no, as far as I can tell, there's no way to enforce them to, make them do it. It's a polite request, basically.
You know, and you understand what I'm saying. If you get the thing, the emergency okay is going to allow them to actually tear down a beaver dam. And if they say they did, you come over and you find they did it. And for some reason, the beavers decide not to come back and he has no reason to put a beaver deceiver in, then there's no reason for him to file. Right?
Yeah,
That's
that
correct,
works.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So can I get someone to second that
Second.
motion? Okay, thanks, Chris. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chris, how do you vote?
Didn't I make that motion?
You did, Virginia.
Oh, then I can't second it, huh?
Chris seconded it, so you're all set. So can but Virginia, how do you vote?
A.
Okay,
Yes.
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 Okay, and Chris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, and Lauren, I vote aye. All right, so Ryan, I know you've been patiently waiting to come back onto the discussion now, so we can reopen, or we never really closed, but just come back to the discussion with you on 18 Allen Road. And I think you've been unmuted now.
He looks good.
Good evening, folks. Back on here. I've had a chance to update the plan as per our previous discussion. I did email it over to Brian. Brian, let me know. Should I just share my screen, or do you want to put it up on the screen over there for you guys? How would you like me to do that?
My screen sharing, I'm on the wrong computer, so you should do it.
All right.
Okay, great.
Let me know when you guys can see the revised plan.
Yeah, we can see it. Can you just make it a little bit bigger, though?
I can.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, can I do that? Yeah.
Okay. Pull these down here for us. All right, so we've got compost tube erosion control shown along the inside of the fence line here, all the way from the front part of the property to the back part of the property where our property line ends. I've got this area here utilized for staging of construction materials. I've got a primary access point for construction vehicles and materials at the driveway here. And to limit construction activity within the 50-foot no-build zone as much as possible. And then some general comments that we talked about was, again, limiting the construction activity within the 50-foot no-build zone, use the driveway and south side of the house as primary construction vehicle and material access point, and then limit time on site for construction vehicles and no overnight parking for construction equipment within the 50-foot no-build zone.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. Does anybody on the commission have any questions or think anything was omitted based on our prior discussions and requests for these additions?
It looks good to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looks good, George. Looks good to me.
My only comment would be, to the extent possible, on that 50-foot no build, like, what is the activity that might go on in there? Do you know now? Just because,
Yeah, you have to dig.
when you get the contractors that come in, they might interpret that very differently than you or we might do so. So if you could spec any specific vehicles or activities to make that less vague, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's see. So in terms of excavation, right? We will need to get into this area a little bit. We're not going to be able to excavate everything from this side here.
Yeah.
So we will need to use this area a little bit for excavation and digging. And I imagine that we'll also have some heavy equipment coming down here just at the very beginning during excavation to remove some material from site. But once we get the foundation excavated and backfilled, then we should be able to work from this side of the house and work everything around from this side.
So then why don't you just write in,
Suggestion?
this shall only be utilized during excavation activities.
Yeah, I was gonna just say that, yeah,
You know that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Could you ask them where the septic systems are? The leaching field and
Good question.
We have a question from the public here. Just could you point out on the map where the septic system is and the leaching fields?
Yes, it is in.
that could inhibit some of the heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could.
Good point.
It is in this area here, roughly.
Yes, you can't drive on that.
Yeah, but I don't think so. I don't think we're going to be. We're not going to need to be utilizing anything that heavy. Once we get out of the ground, we'll have lumber drop. Lumber drop can certainly happen in this area here, and then be carried by hand back around to the construction site, which I imagine will be pretty typical for most every delivery. So I don't think we're going to be actually bringing a lot of heavy equipment over this area. And once we are backfilled and out of the ground and building with wood instead of concrete, I don't really picture it being too much of an issue.
Good thought.
Okay, thank you.
So won't put the leaching field or show it there, then maybe you just make a note with your legend, about, septic system out of work area. Just,
Sure.
Because you look at it, some of you might think about it and say, wow, you drive the trucks over the leaching field, boy, it's gonna make a mess or something. So, it can just be covered by a note in that part of the plan. So they usually do comment about everything that's all on the property.
Anyway, I'm
Great.
good.
Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah, no, I know. We're just watching Ryan type now.
Better than watching Dane drive.
Yeah. Boy, he actually knows how to use this software.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
You're
impressed.
performing, well under pressure here. Okay, so anybody else have any other additions they'd like to see to the comments here? And in the case that you do not, would someone like to issue a motion that we approve this notice of intent based on the updated plan that has been presented?
Okay, this is, I move that we approve the NOI for 18 Allen Road with the, I guess, the order, with the various things we talked about in the order of conditions, as annotated in this updated map.
Great. Thank you, George. Can I get a second?
Ryan, can you sign that?
I know that, Ryan, you sent it over to Brian, you sent it over to Brian via email, but you'll send this new version to Brian via email so that it can be signed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No, yeah.
And then I can also.
Perfect, okay.
Dayton signed it actually for the new stuff.
Good, yeah, good.
I do have the date here on a separate note, but I can drop my stamp on here digitally, and I will make sure that this is the version that gets over to Brian.
Great.
Perfect. Okay, super. Thank you, Ryan. So George has made the motion. Virginia or Chris, could you second that motion if you?
I will second George's motion.
Thank you, Virginia. All right, Chris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Virginia?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Lauren? Aye. So, yeah, Ryan, just send that over to Brian and you are all set.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your flexibility tonight. We really appreciate it and glad we could make everybody happy. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for your patience waiting to the end of the meeting.
Like to learn something new all the time.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, so now we've reached the end of the public hearing, so we just have a couple of items for discussion. So first up, we've got 480 Asbury Street, certificate of compliance.
I went out, did a site visit. It was a septic. Everything was stable. The more interesting thing that happened was that they had a lot of frogs in their pool. Apparently frogs really like chlorine.
In their pool.
Oh man, so many. Like,
Living, dead frogs.
no, they were.
Living. They like the chlorine and can survive
It
in a chlorinated
wouldn't get
pool.
out. They would jump back in. Go figure. It
Maybe-
kills them eventually, but
Yeah.
go figure. Anyway, so that's fine. I'm
Should
gonna.
we declare it a vernal pool and go from there? Or?
I mean, it's right next to the Ipswich River, so there might be another source going on out there. But we'd have to go at the right time of year to get egg masses. I don't think actual amphibians count.
Still has to be a certain size.
Right. True. Thank you, Virginia. Good point.
And I'm a vernal pool person.
But other than that, it was fine. So that one, yeah, I think we should issue the COC on that one.
Okay.
And I make a motion, we issue a certificate of compliance for 480 Asbury Street.
Thanks, Virginia. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Chris?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Virginia?
Aye.
Lauren? Aye. I know the next item, Brian said we're not going to discuss 19 Farrington Lane.
Right.
So we'll move on to the extension of the local order of conditions for 41 Orton's Lane.
So that is a project where basically they just didn't get around to it. If I recall right, it's a pool. And they've still got an open order under the state law, and it's just the local bylaw ran out. And so we just asked for an extension to actually do the permitted work.
So it's an in-ground pool?
Yeah.
Okay. How long do they want the extension for?
We'll do it for a year.
Okay.
I mean, they'll probably start work in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
They started staking it out, and I'm going to go over next week and double check everything.
Okay. Should we wait until you double check it then? Or,
Nah,
okay.
No, an
Okay.
extension is, nothing changed other than the permission.
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion then to extend that order of conditions?
I'll make a motion to extend, extend the order of conditions for 1 year for 41 Orton's Lane for the file number, it ends with 614.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Chris?
Aye.
Virginia?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Lauren? Aye. All right. Now we have a Patton Ridge MOA update.
So the status of that primarily is that I need to build some maps. Joe asked me to help with the attachments to put into the new MOA, and basically I just need to do them.
Okay.
But we've got all of the fact finding done. We seem to have all the information we need. And so once I build out the new proposal for where to put things, Joe can sort of put that in the machine and spin it and see what comes out.
Okay.
And then I think I could probably do that, not by the next meeting, but maybe by the September meeting.
And George, I know you had sent through some additional considerations
Yeah, I sent you and Brian
Yeah.
some discussion of a couple of points because we never really gave them any detail on the reforestation or the character of the wetland garden.
Yeah.
Those are the two main items there. And I'm not sure how much detail we want to put in an MOA. It seemed to me a lot of it,
Yeah.
I was just deferring a lot of it to the management plan, which we
Yep.
Yeah.
we would
Is
develop.
this MOA
You
going to
might wanna
be,
put an
is for
abbreviated
between them and the
version of what-
town or through the commission?
It's an MOA between the commission and the town of Hamilton, right?
Okay, then it's gotta go
with
through, the
the Board
commission
of
has to
Selectmen.
vote for
So, yeah,
that.
that's right, the Board of Selectmen as the
Right,
representatives of
because
the town of
we are a
Hamilton, yeah.
town of
True, but
Hamilton.
it has to start with us if it's,
It's,
if
yeah,
it's geared to us, and then after us goes to the selectmen,
correct.
okay?
Well,
Gotcha.
Virginia, as I build things out, I will make a folder in the Dropbox and put them all in. But at this point, the way things are currently written is that the agreement is between the Patton Ridge Association and the Board of Selectmen, and then the Selectmen has appointed the Concom as their agent to, take things over. So the agreement has to go through the Select Board, and then arguably we are doing their wishes rather than the other way around. But, that'll all be how the MOA is written in.
It sort of follows the way we got the land to begin with.
Right.
Started with the selectmen and they gave it to us, so, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, could I just clarify though, because you said the Patton Ridge Homeowners Association, they're not part of the,
Homestead.
Oh, yeah.
No, no.
the Patton Homes, oh, gotcha, okay, gotcha. No, sorry, I just got confused, I was like, I don't think the Homeowners Association is,
Bridge is the enemy.
Yes.
Patton Homestead is,
they're not privy to
Semi.
the, okay.
Yeah, there's too many groups
See,
involved.
I
That's my
don't think
bad.
I would
Okay.
have the gumption to say that, but I agree.
Okay, so we will look
Yeah.
for an update.
and the third thing
Yeah.
I talked about was the crossing for the loop trail,
Yes,
incorporating Brian's suggestion and my thought on it too.
yeah,
Right, and just for,
Probably do need to include that in the MOA. even though we
Articulate that
haven't
very clearly.
arranged anything with Patton Ridge yet.
yeah,
right. So just to
I
be
agree.
clear for anybody watching, the idea that George and I are referring to is to take the public access that currently runs down the Patton Ridge Road into an emergency access behind houses at the end of the cul-de-sac, and to remove that right away for the town and its citizens and move it to a location that would allow for the construction of a loop trail. And so the concerns that were raised by the association had to do with trespassing, and by removing that right away, we should hopefully address that concern, but then trading it in for a currently non-existent rite of passage over some other land that would then make a roughly lollipop-shaped, with the stick, walking trail, give or take.
yeah.
More or less?
Yeah.
It's interesting because that right away, on the back there up, is actually for the town for safety's sake. I think
Right.
it's more fire and police than it is, for the,
Right, yeah, absolutely. It's just functionally not as useful as it could be. And so, the emergency access, I expect, wouldn't be waived, but the public access would be, swapped.
Yeah.
And, arguably the same square footage of public access would be maintained. We would just put it somewhere less likely to cause concern.
so it's an agreement with the Board of, again, with the Board of Selectmen and the Patton Homestead folks.
Right.
Okay, I got that.
I would still like some statement from town council or somebody to the interpretation of the deed. Because as you recall, there was some conflict between Patton Ridge and us as to whether it was a blanket approval of public access or was specifically for access to the canoe launch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the deed, and there were 2 accesses granted, 2 right-of-ways granted for the town. One was sort of at the base of the road, at the beginning of the road. There was access for vehicles to turn into the parking area. So where the swale is now, there's a right-of-way to go through the swale and to park.
Right.
That's written into the deed, and then there's a picture of that right-of-way access. And then also written into the deed is right for the public to cross over and through the roadway to access the emergency the emergency access. And that's written into the deed, but it's not pictured on the right-of-way image that also is part of the deed. And so I think part of the confusion that arose was that there were 2 rights granted in the deed in writing and only 1 right granted in the deed pictorially. And so I think personally that's my take why there was some confusion, because we only looked at the picture, you only saw 1 right of access. But if you read the deed, there were 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, one of my questions was the right of, the public has right of access to the access road. Does that include the entire width outside? I mean, does it include the adjacent grassland that they have there? I mean, out to the edge of the property? Or is it restricted just to the road surface itself? I mean, I was interpreting it to mean everything.
Okay.
And
My reading.
Town council to
Clarify.
look at it and say something. I'd like to have a piece of paper somewhere that says.
So it's not just our interpretation versus their interpretation.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I'll see if I can get Joe to get on that. My interpretation was just the road, but whatever, I'm not council.
Yeah, well, does the road include the right-of-way for the road, which is the whole thing? Or just the road surface? I mean, it's not clear in the writing, and I don't know what the usual legal interpretation is.
Sure.
And if you look at like a town road, like Asbury Street, for example, what the town owns is not just the road surface that's paved. I mean, they own about 25 feet or something, or whatever it is on each side of that.
Yeah.
As well. I would include all of that in the road.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but town council will be in a better position to make a judgment on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
A sidewalk would help them, I bet.
What'd you say?
I think for the town council, I agree, need to talk to them, but
Yeah.
it'd be good if they actually saw what they were gonna make the decision about.
Yeah.
I guess we think it would help them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the decision is that
suggestion.
those side grassy
That's a
areas are not
suggestion, okay.
included, then what we're swapping is include all of that, and not just the crossing of the swale, but from the paved surface to the 9.1 that we have on both sides of the road. We need it because we need to be able to go up to the grassy field on the other side too. So we would have to include that.
Yeah. But is that part on the other side? That's not Patton Ridge's. It is. That's right. Because that's what we agreed that they don't mow. Yeah.
Well,
Or is it the town?
the grass along the side of the paved area
Yeah.
is Patton Ridge.
Yeah.
And they have a portion of
That's,
that field, is a little bit,
Drainage.
I don't know, 10, 15 feet out
Right.
from the stone wall or something,
Yeah.
in between the 2 rows of conifers, and the rest of it is ours.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll get legal counsel to provide guidance on that, what that interpretation should be. Okay. Any other business? I've spoken to 2 people who are potentially interested in joining the Concom. I did not get a chance to see whether they joined the meeting today, but they have both said that they would try to. So, Chris, hopefully that's reassuring for you. I know you are being more than generous with your time here, so thank you.
And we've got one ex-commissioner who sat through the whole meeting just for fun.
Exactly.
We need more people. Hey. we'll love you if you come back.
All you have to be is what, 18 or over and a citizen of the town of Hamilton.
I know.
And learning. Of course, if you come along with a degree or something in it, we're not going to object.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be interested.
All right, I think we have reached the end of the meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move we adjourn.
Thanks, George. A second?
I'll second it.
All right. All right. Chris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Virginia?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Lauren? Aye. Have a good night, everybody.